All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Another preview. Well, this is actually my first preview on Trafford Talk. Did the last review on the Arsenal game that hurt me. I'm here with my boy Brian, aka Hits.
Hey, what's going on?
Late footy chat. Gonna do a preview on the Everton game. You know, with all the shroud of darkness that goes over United every time we lose a game. I picked up the raw deal. I didn't get the fun ones, but
It's all good. It's all good.
About it. But so before we get started, if you are watching live on YouTube, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, which you probably are because we're all new to the channel. Again, this is only like our 6th, 7th video. You know, if you're listening on Spotify, strap in and we're gonna talk about some stuff. So first off, I'm gonna put it out there, Brian. Let everybody know you're a Chelsea fan. But
Yep. Please let them know. Chelsea blue through and through, but you know I'm an avid football fan at heart, so you know it's all good.
Dope. Yeah. No, I feel you on that because that's why I brought you on. I mean, I personally haven't caught enough Everton games this year to fully give a proper preview on it. So I wanted to bring somebody on who I know you've caught all the Everton games. You've been talking about Don Carlo and what's been going on there. So like just straight off the jump, like, I mean, I wanted to talk about something that I wanted to talk about with Everton for a bit. And that's kind of the James Rodriguez rejuvenation. Like, you know, when we both were talking about it for both our teams, like, you know, it makes sense, kind of just 25 mil, whatever it was. We'll get him. Why not? But what I'm seeing and what I believe is why he's being successful, or why he's been successful, is because they built the team around it. It seems like Carlo basically built the entire squad, his whole philosophy around James. So what do you think? How do you feel about that?
You know, it's funny because you see, like, being a Chelsea fan, I love Don Carlo. And thinking about how he had the team set up, like for the Blues back in the day, he was playing with like Nicolas Anelka at right wing, and he scored a ton of goals, super active. Always plays his 4-3-3. And so he's come to Everton now, and it's like James has just slotted into that spot seamlessly. It looks like the team is built around him. I'm definitely gonna agree with you on that there. But man, like him being able to like have Coleman kind of coming on the right wing behind him, James can tuck inside. He has these three guys behind him, you know, whether it's like Allen or Decore now sitting behind him. It seems like he just has the freedom to do whatever he wants. So I do agree with you. It does look like the team's kind of built around him, but that's Carlo. That's just kind of Carlo's system. He's always just gone with that.
Yeah, and it's like so the James that I'm used to watching, like I'm used to him being kind of, I mean, at Real, what happened was he was more central, right?
Yep.
Really play him out on the wing, and that's a big reason why he didn't really feature a lot, even though you'd think, you know, with Bale being out of, you know, favor half the time, why not put him out there if he made sense on the right? But I guess for Zidane's system, because he does like more mobile wingers.
Yeah.
James isn't very mobile, but it's been interesting because the one game I did watch, it's like he's playing like, or the two games actually, he kind of plays like a weird. It's like he's a playmaker, but he's waiting for the midfield to get into the play, and you have Allen who I'm starting to see is more box to box, but he's more of a destroyer.
Yes.
He's not really, he's not a creative midfielder. And Decore, they both are kind of just all action type midfielders.
Yep.
Right. So I like what I haven't seen, and obviously we haven't seen a lot of it, is Gylfi playing with him a lot. And I think it's because they're both not mobile, right? Like you can't really.
And that's the big fear that I actually have for Everton tomorrow, because it looks like I think Angel Gomez is going to be out, and I think Fabian Delph is also out. So it's like he has to play with Sigurdsson, and that's what actually I don't think is going to work, because James tends to like he drifts on the wing a lot. He doesn't stay out wide all the time. He tends to just come inside and come to where the action is.
Yeah.
But Siggy is the same way. Like Sigurdsson wants to get on the ball as well, and that's where I actually think they're going to have the most problem in that midfield.
That's fair. Like, and I think so. That's the thing. It's interesting when you talk about like the problems in the midfield, and I think like I'm gonna switch over to United now, and it all depends on kind of who we play in the midfield.
Yep.
And at this point, I don't really know who we're going to be playing in the midfield. Like I think I know who's going to play, but I don't, right? Like,
so who do you think is going to be like? Who do you think is going to be the three for Ollie tomorrow?
So the three for Ollie that I like. If I was Ollie, I personally think Ollie's going to play five at the back. I'm not going to lie.
Really?
If Tellus is healthy, like if he actually
he just came back from COVID though.
Yeah, but apparently he had no symptoms.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm going based on like if he's like a Pogba situation where Pogba clearly was sick.
Yeah.
Different. But if he's not like that situation, if he actually is fit enough to get in the game, I wouldn't be surprised to see us start with a five at the back, play with the wing backs up. So you'd have Tellus and you'd have AWB on the right, and then you play with your. And that's the thing. You probably slide in Luke Shaw back there in the back three,
gotcha.
And then in the midfield. This is the problem with what I'm saying here. Is I think about it, a midfield two. A midfield two works, but apparently right now, and I don't know if Pogba and Bruno on their own make sense. So you look at it as Bruno pushes up.
Yep.
And then you play two strikers.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
So you know what I mean? So like I'm doing the math in my head, and like cause I always mess up when I put five at the back. I'm always like I always add an extra midfielder, which wouldn't make sense. But it would be Martial's back. Martial's back.
Yeah, he's back.
I could see Martial starting up top with Rashford.
Okay.
And then you would play the five at the back, and then you would play a Pogba, Bruno.
And that's where the question is right there. Just in that pause, that's where I think the question is.
That's so okay. Let's be honest. Okay, we'll probably go with the traditional 4-3-2-1. So we'll play the four back. We'll play the four at the back with Luke Shaw. We probably won't play Tellus. I'm gonna stop playing. I'll stop playing FIFA for a second. I'll be honest with myself.
Yeah,
we'll have Maguire and Lindelof there because Axel had an absolute disaster of a game.
Man.
Shocker. Like people were questioning. They're saying, "Oh, why were the fullbacks at the edge of the box? Why was your fastest guy not sitting back? Like why wasn't AWB back?" Honestly, sometimes players got to coach themselves on the pitch, and somebody
that was ridiculous, man.
Demba Ba chilling by himself for however long and be like, "Yo, if the ball breaks on a corner, which happens all the time, who's going to get to this man? Not Matic." So I wouldn't be surprised to see Matic start again because I think Matic played fine.
Okay.
Bruno's undroppable. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see Pogba play. Like I wouldn't be. It's just like Ollie's been so all over the place. And then obviously the front three is going to be the Greenwood, Martial, and Rashford triumphant. That's been basically unstoppable last year. And I think that's kind of what we were missing when we played against Turkey, Istanbul or whatever. Like not that game. Arsenal was the game that we really were missing having Martial because that link wasn't showed that game. So that would be who I would start if I was Ollie. Probably that's who I think he would start because I went to the midfield too, and I'm like, you can't have Pogba and Bruno in a midfield two on their own. It's not going to work.
No. You get overran there. You know, it's tricky. If I'm gonna pick three to play, I'm gonna say Bruno. I mean, kind of a given there. I'd actually put Scott. I don't know, man. McTominay, I think, as someone who's watched Matic a lot, and I know he's been playing decent for you guys, I think Scott just has more to offer. I think he has more legs. I think he does just as much defending, breaking up the play as Matic. I think he moves the ball. I mean, Matic isn't playing any killer passes. I just think Scott brings a little bit more. Not a whole lot, just a little bit more. And what's going on? Why not Fred? I feel like Fred has kind of earned that spot, man. I don't know. Every time I feel like over the last couple of games when I've seen Fred play, he's been very active. He's been hustling. I feel like he's been given, honestly, a little more than Pogba, but that's who I'd pick. That would be my three.
So the problem with the issue I have when we talk about playing Fred and Scott together is they're very similar players. Like I don't think Scott's a true DM yet at this point. I don't think he's got the same kind of. He doesn't have the ability to quarterback from back there. And I truly believe in the modern game, you need a DM who can see a pass too, right? And there's a lot of times where Scott tries to make that pass and he missed. Like he just can't.
That's not his game.
That's the problem. When you play both of them as sitters, it doesn't work for me. That's just my opinion. It doesn't work for me when both of them are there. But sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. But if you're going up against Everton and you're thinking about, okay, Richarlison's back.
No, he's not. He's not. I don't think he is. He still has to serve one game for his ban. He misses tomorrow. So, and that's the other thing. Everton has to start Bernard on the left wing instead of Rich.
Okay, I thought he was back. So that gives me a little. So
Luca Ding is back. His ban got overturned, but Rich still has to serve the third game.
So Luca's back. Okay. I mean, so that could be interesting. If you played Scott and Fred together, because you don't really have to worry too much about guys getting in behind you. You have to worry more about them playing around with the ball in midfield and being overrun in midfield. So it could happen. I wouldn't be surprised if Ollie plays that. It's just we're in this weird enigma moment where it's like Ollie likes to give guys a chance to redeem themselves.
Yeah.
And this would be a game where Pogba could redeem himself, realistically. I'm over the defending Pogba for the whole time. Like I'm over that. I'm done. Like I love Pogba. You know, I got the Pogba jersey. I got him and Martial. But to me, Pogba has just been so inconsistent for the last 8 months.
It's crazy.
It's hard. It's hard. Sometimes he looks like a world beater. Sometimes he looks like the best player, period, on the pitch. No problems. And then sometimes you're like, Pogba, wake up. I called our loss to Arsenal on a preview. I said, listen, if we do poorly in this game, it's going to be because of Pogba mistake. And it happened. I actually thought it was going to be one of those mistakes where he dawdles on the ball.
Yeah, and then losing it in midfield, gets it nicked off him. Yep.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
Which he's had that done way too much, man. He loses the ball way too much in the middle.
Yo, I think teams plan for it now. They plan for it. They're ready for it. They know.
Because if I'm a coach and I'm playing Manchester United and Pogba's playing, I actually would prefer that in the beginning of the game, go to put a couple tackles on him, but let him keep the ball. Let him shield the ball and move around and get him comfortable with that, and he'll slip up. If he gets comfortable and he feels like he's in a rhythm where nobody can get the ball off him, he'll slip up.
Does the 6 step overs?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, let him get comfortable in the first 5-10 minutes. Watch come minute 60, minute 70, he'll slip up and we'll nick a ball, and that's how we'll get a big chance. I'd actually play for that.
So now we've moved into this world where Pogba has now become a super sub essentially. And I'm seeing rumors of him being sold for ridiculous fees and whatnot, which none of it I believe, because again, it's all conjecture and nonsense. But I do think for us to win the game, I want to see us press a little bit. So Ollie's been doing this interesting on and off press where he chooses the right times to press and then he chooses. And there's times where he doesn't press. I think against Arsenal, we let them have way too much time on the ball. I don't get why. It's not like Arsenal has you had Mohamed El Nini out there. Pogba's gonna stay on the bench tomorrow because he knows he's tired. Yeah, that's funny. That's unfortunate, but yeah, it's one of those things. That comment he made at the end of the game. Listen, I'm actually gonna address that comment right there because Pogba was honest, and we always get on players who are honest. We always get on these players and talk about like when they're not honest, give us the real reason why you may have made a mistake. Like he was straight up. He's like, I made the mistake because I was tired and lost focus. Not the answer you want to hear, but he was honest. So Pogba, it doesn't help him when he opens his mouth. He's one of those players where it's like, sometimes you're just like, bro, shut up. Like, just don't say anything. Don't put yourself in these situations. Don't do it to yourself, but he does. So I would be, I'm coming around. I do think the midfield is probably going to be Fred and Scott, but the problem is you can't play. This is the problem with Fred. And the same with Matic. It's the exact same issues. They can't play too many games consecutively. They just cannot.
Fair. Yeah.
And it's not because Fred gets tired. It's because for whatever reason, Fred, after 3-4 games that are nice, he's bound to have a bad game. And I don't get why. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's his inconsistency. But I think for the reason why I'm really suggesting to play Fred is just for that press. If you give James, especially if Siggy's playing, if you give James and Siggy time on the ball and you're not pressing them, they will pick your team apart. Look at all the games that James has started and played in. When he has time, he finds a pass. Even to somebody like, I know Dominic's not like the fastest striker ever, but man, he's been like picking him out all over the place. Even when he comes short, he's picking it. He's finding a good pass and opening up the game there. If you guys don't press, that's where I think the problem is going to be. That's why I'm saying Fred. Because Pogba, when it comes to actually pressuring the ball, that's not.
Pogba doesn't play defense. Let's be like,
that's just
not a bad defense.
You get overran there. That's the problem.
That's okay. And the thing is, so like we haven't talked about. Let's go back to Everton a bit. Calvert-Lewin. I'm pretty sure he's second in goals right now.
I feel like he's either second or third. I can't remember.
So my word,
Son's on top, but I think he's up there.
My word with DCL is he's that old-fashioned striker. But the problem is we give up. It's just it's a bad habit of us. We give up a lot of set plays in bad areas. Plain and simple. We're terrible. We're terrible on corners. We're still bad at them.
Yeah,
and that man can jump over our whole team. So that's where I'm like, you see, when you like, it's same with Tellers. When a player just has that whip on a ball, when James whips it in, as long as somebody gets on it,
you don't even have to like. It's the kind of balls where like you almost same with Luke on the left. Luke Ding on the left will whip some good ones in too. He doesn't even need to put a lot of power behind it. He just needs to direct it. And I don't know what happened with him, with Dominic over the last 6 months, but the boy just he just learned how to actually head the ball, and it's been a world of a difference for him.
He decided to master one skill. Realistically, he's become probably one of the best headers of the ball in the Prem.
Yeah, it's great, and I don't know, man.
I think that's Carlo too, right? Carlo came in and was like, he identified this is where, and we'll get to Ollie. I've stayed off Ollie for a bit, but we'll get there because I want to.
Okay. Yeah, because that has to be discussed. That has to be discussed.
It does. So with Carlo, he's come in and clearly looked at the team and seen who's good at what, who's not. Sent Keane out on loan because he's like, listen, we brought you to the Prem way too early. Like you're just. Moise keeps killing it at PSG. He looks nice. He looks
great. He looks great there, but it just wasn't working. It just happens.
It's a different type of striker that he wants too, Carlo. Clearly, he doesn't want if you look at let's look at the strikers Ancelotti's done well with. Yeah, you've got the Edison Cavani's. Who was the striker for you guys at Chelsea?
That would have been Drogba and Anelka, a weird little tandem there, but he made that work.
But think about these types of strikers. We've got big strikers who honestly have great movement, who are poachers. That's the type of striker you wanted. Keane's not that kind of striker. So quick, turned DCL into who he is now, and he's using one of, honestly, in my opinion, the skill set of his team. And word! I'm gonna add somebody to the stream here. Can I add somebody?
Yeah, for sure.
Got Danny here, Devil in the Details. What's up, homie?
Hey guys, what's up? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What's going on?
Just getting into it, just chatting up. We've covered up kind of, and I'll go to you too about it because we've covered up who we think the midfield's gonna be. I was saying some crazy shit, saying it was gonna be a midfield two of Pogba and Bruno, and then my boy was like, check yourself. And I was like, yeah, it's not going to be a thing. So my boy here, Brian, he's a Chelsea fan. He watches all games, though. He's seen all Everton. So I needed somebody who could give me a little understanding of what they're going to bring against us. And right now we're kind of just talking about, Don Carlo's ability to bring out the best in what his players are good at, because that's what he's done. If you think about it, you look at the team from last year, he had to figure out what to do. He brought in James. We talked about, the reason other teams didn't really look at James, because to make James as good as he is, you got to build around him. And most teams weren't willing to do that. And this whole team looks like it's built around James Rodriguez and his talent. So for you, who's the danger man tomorrow? What do you think? I've been talking about DCL on set pieces. I think that might be a problem for us.
I think you hit the nail on the head. James is perfect player for
Talk up a
Ancelotti
bit.
because it's
It's
just.
a bit louder.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Hammers is the perfect player for Ancelotti because he fits into that diamond system perfectly. When you've three midfielders, one at the base and two box-to-box midfielders working hard, you can accommodate a luxury player because that's what he is. He's a luxury player, and at a point where Madrid they were trying to sell him for years, and no big football club would buy it. And then I guess eventually he figured out, you know what, I need to drop a level to to a team that's going to take a chance on me, and it's worked out well so far. What I would say, I'm worried about Digny because he's fit. Oh, he was suspended, wasn't he? He's
He's
going to come
back
back,
now.
and his crossing ability is so lethal,
Yep.
so lethal. And Calvert-Lewin, you're talking about him mastering one particular skill. It's a good skill to master in this modern Premier League.
Yep.
It really is. Because centre backs, if you were to look at statistics, mainly I haven't seen it this season, but from last season, like Lindelof, we know as Man United fans, Lindelof is not strong in the air. He was still top 12 for centre back in the air. The league last season.
Jeez, man.
It's a weakness of this generation of centre backs.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm concerned about. Is they play a diamond and they play it well. They've mastered it better than we have. So it's the crosses from their fullbacks and get into the and they don't even have to get to the byline. Because they've got the quality to cross well. They can cross from deep positions. They don't have to execute pretty passing combinations. Just a standard cross from like 10 yards from the edge of the box, and they can do damage.
Yep.
We're not. If Harry Maguire decides he can't head the ball tomorrow, even though it's his biggest strength, we're in big trouble. And what you were saying about Ollie's team selection, I've got no idea what Ollie's going to do. None whatsoever. I don't think he even knows what he's going to do now.
So what we settled on. So it's interesting that you because Brian's been harping on the fact about Luca Digne as like how his we don't just have to think about James, but then the biggest kind of wrench we have to think about is Gylfi's gonna play. Normally, he wasn't automatically gonna play tomorrow, and he's the guy who that man can whip a cross in from the half. So that kind of scared me. So what we were thinking this is my team. I think Ollie might give Pogba a redemption. It might start Bruno, Pogba, and Matic in the midfield three. Brian thinks it's going to be.
I've been so busy this week. I didn't even watch the game. Didn't see the highlights. I don't even know what the formation. All I've seen is the clips of our non-existent defense. Demba Ba running in behind. Who played midweek? What was the midfield?
The midfield this week was Van de Beek, Bruno, and who started? Who was sitting? No, Pog. Yeah.
No. Was it Pog? Maybe it was.
No,
maybe
Bruno
it was.
didn't start. Bruno didn't start. It was Van de Beek, Pogba, and Matic. That was our midfield three. And then that's what happened. So what happened was, and this is what killed this. So this is where, and we'll get into Ollie now because this is a good segment. When you think about coaching and players, and I watched the ESPN guys say, okay, so either the players weren't coached to know that they shouldn't be up, that they all shouldn't be up there.
No, I'm sorry, man.
I'm sorry. When Demba Ba this is what happened to Demba Ba just sitting he's sitting at the halfway line by himself. Not one player decided to look back and be like, oh wait, that's somebody's assignment.
No. I see, and that's what I have to stop you there. It's not that one player, and this is part one of my issues with the Man U team. It's not that one player didn't look back and see him. Players looked back and saw him, but no one took the ownership to say, oh, I'll go and take care of that. Everybody just walked away. Somebody else will deal with that. Nobody took the initiative to be like, oh, we've seen Demba Ba do this against Liverpool before. Just I have to throw that one out there. We've seen this, you know what I mean? We've seen him do this over the past. We know on a breakaway, he's pretty good. And nobody sat back. And it's not even like it was we're talking he was the closest guy was 15 yards away from him. It was he was by himself.
It's the shape of the team. I've seen clips of it. Made absolutely no sense whatsoever.
That's schoolboy stuff to me. I'm sorry.
And what I found bizarre was that Matic was deepest, but he was deeper than Bar. He was higher up the pitch than Bar was. You get what I mean? Why would you? Why, if you're the last man and you've got a player on the other side of the pitch who's free, I think nobody's close to him. So even though Matic wouldn't have caught him anyway, but his positioning was just all wrong anyway. And this is the thing that I always found sort of frustrating with Man United fans. When I point out the fact that we have an imbalanced midfield, or the fact that we don't have one formation that's sustainable for the players we'd like to see play week in, week out. I was watching before I came on camera up about Fred. Like, I called it before the Arsenal game. I was like, he's always one game away from a disastrous performance. And that's because he's a squad player. Squad players can play 7, 8, 9, 10 games in a row and give you a stellar performance. Their performance level will dip. That's why you have to manage them better. That's one thing that's surprising about Oli in that particular game, that he didn't start Matic. But even Matic is problematic because under Mourinho, we call him the master below block. We said his football was negative. And even with Matic as his holding player, we saw him get bypassed all the time. As Man United fans, we're like, Matic can't be a defensive midfielder by himself. He had Herrera next to him as well. So under Mourinho, we knew Matic was a problem as a holding player. So of course it's going to be a problem now. It's just old problems rearing their head. You've got Pogba, Bruno, Van der Beek, great attacking players, but the balance for them just isn't there. It's inconsistent. And that's where we're losing battles right now, is in midfield, which is really, really, it's disappointing. It's really, really disappointing because, we've got a front line that's pretty good. The back four is, again, in 2020 standards is okay.
Yeah,
In 2020, it's okay. 15 years ago, this is a mid-table back four. I kid you not. But, so I don't know what Oli's going to do. What I do know, though, is the last time we played Everton, when we went diamond for diamond, we cancelled each other out. It was a 1-1 draw. The second half, and nothing really happened in that game because neither team could actually break through. Both teams were compact. Both teams were well organised. So it'll be interesting to see tomorrow how we set out. I was watching before you brought up the fact that we're not pressing with any intensity. I saw something on Twitter. We're like in Europe ranked like 85th pressing intensity.
Yeah, it's bad. No, it's bad. That's bad. Yeah.
Okay, so this is what kills me about our squad too. When the fact that we're talking right now about our midfield not having balance or being overrun, but then you look at the players we have in the squad. Like Donny Van de Beek was on his way to Real Madrid. Everybody's like, "Oh, he didn't want to go to United." He came. Like, nobody looks at the fact that Real Madrid wanted Donny Van de Beek. He's that good. Like Pogba.
But even in that though, I think their squad has more balance.
Absolutely, but what
I mean, like in the midfield specifically.
No, but what I'm trying to say, it's like we have a Pogba, we have Van de Beek, we have Bruno, right? So you look at these three players. Van de Beek's very different than the other two. Pogba and Bruno are very similar. The difference with Pogba and Bruno, and we can all attest to this, is effort. I'm sorry, like I love Pogba, but when you watch Bruno play out there, like for me, Bruno's stamina, that guy can run all day. He chases, even though he's not a great tackler, he'll run down guys. He'll put in the nasty tackle to stop a break. Pogba, on the other hand, doesn't quite do it. And that's kind of the big difference between the two of them. Pogba obviously is way more of a freestyler, street baller. He's got the skills that when you see him make, when he does those nice moves, you're like, ooh, he changes. But then they both have the one skill set that our team desperately needs, and is that ability to pick that killer pass. Because with our pace, we're always gonna have an opportunity to catch either Greenwood, Martial, or Rashford streaking either down the flanks, or when they find that space. I really like when they interchange and they confuse defenders, because you see it a lot where a defender looks. I've seen it many times where a defender looks and he's lost Rashford because him and Martial are right at the same time deciding to cross out. They're crossed at the same time, and that's when Bruno finds them normally. So to me, tomorrow, I think we all can agree we don't really know what Ollie's going to do with that midfield. It could be Fred and McTominay. It could be Fred and McTominay with Bruno. We do know Bruno's not getting dropped. And I do want to talk about, obviously Ollie needs to work on his. At this point, I'm not Ollie in. I'm not Ollie out. I just want to see better results. I want to see less of Ollie escaping from moments where it's like it would have been real nice if we beat Arsenal. And then, if we lost to Turkey, like Istanbul, I mean, I don't care if we beat Arsenal. If we lost that Istanbul game, I'd have been like, all right, well, whatever. We just won 5 straight big games or drew one in between. And then we lost to Istanbul in a game that we didn't necessarily need to win. So I've been okay with that.
I disagree. I think we needed to win that game because it would have given us 9 points in the group with the return leg at home. And then the PSG Leipzig, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky picking and choosing the games you want to win and lose. What I'd say is on the thing about Paul Pogba, funny enough, I always used to say he's a bit of a vampire. He feeds off the energy of others. If the
Yeah,
rest of the team isn't right, don't expect him to be the guy that's going to get you out of trouble, or don't expect his level of effort all of a sudden to elevate above everybody else around him. So everyone
yeah,
else is
he's not
having a
that
bad day
player.
in terms of their position and effort and their pressing intensity. Best believe he will sink to their level. That's just
Yeah,
he's a confidence player.
that's
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 really
that's
what
it
he
on
is.
the
He's
head.
just a confidence player.
Yeah,
That's what it is. And with Ollie, you know what it is. Tomorrow, I want to see us come out and just go for it. Like this isn't the type of game where you want to play it safe and try and play your way into it. Because let's say you get a deflected shot like this, against in the Newcastle game. You recovered in that situation, but we're in a completely different place right now. If you try to play your way into it and you get a bit of bad luck or you can see the goal, we're already low on confidence. Well, we're screwed at that point if that happens. If
I
we
want to see it.
go down, I'm not confident we can recover from that. So I think we need to go for it and get the first goal, and then whatever happens after that.
from that.
I want to see the team that came out against Tottenham, because before that, even after the goal, before that red card, that team that came out, we looked like we were up for it. Like it looked, we looked like we were up for it. The
You
red card
can't say
happened.
that, Cam. You can't because we lost 6-1. Looks like you're making excuses. Go watch that game back. You know when you're watching a game live and your experience of it is so emotional. You go and watch it back with the emotion removed from it. I didn't realize there was like a 17-minute period where we dominated the ball when it was 2-1. Like
Yeah,
in
you
my mind,
lost
we
it.
were 3-1 down after 15 minutes. No, they didn't get that third goal to the
No,
25th minute. They went to an up at 12 minutes. We had a long period. We were dominant. We were up for it. Red card, then their heads go down. And that's the problem with these players. It doesn't take much for them to lose their confidence. It's a week-to-week thing, you know.
you guys. Do
It's
you,
like
do
they're
you think
anxious.
you
It's
guys?
almost like they're anxious. It's like they're suffering with anxiety. Some days they're willing, some days they're social. People, I'm social, I'm going out today. I'm going to go get a girl's phone number, do you know what I'm saying? Then the other time they're just in the corner of the bar looking at their phone when there's nothing on their phone to look at. Like that type of, you know what I mean? Like I can't make heads or tails of these players. Just can't trust them.
Brian, what are you saying?
I was gonna ask if you guys think do you guys think you're gonna win that midfield battle tomorrow, in terms of like possession, tackles, passes completed? Do you think you're going to win that battle tomorrow? Because I think for me, is where I think the game's going to be won and lost. And I don't see Carlos sitting back at all. I don't see Carlos setting up his team to sit back at all. I think with how both teams are playing, just being completely objective, I think Everton's midfield, it's bad that they don't have, Richarlison to take off some of the pressure from them, or the other guy in the middle there, but their midfield is still
Gomez.
Yeah, or Gomez to do a lot of that fight in the middle. But with Decore, Allen, and Siggy, I mean, on paper, a Man United team should be able to deal with that type of midfield, right? Do you guys think you're going to win that battle?
What I'd say, very quickly, I've got to go. My boy's just woken up. What I would say is we struggle against aggressive physical midfielders. Our midfield prefers technical players who aren't aggressive, who aren't going to put up a fight. If Everton are physical, depending on who Ollie picks, we may shrink. That's how I see it. Sorry, Cam, I did warn you, man, my boy.
Oh, good.
It's all good.
Good.
Appreciate you having me on, man.
No, man, thanks for coming out.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Peace.
That's my boy Danny. He's a big fan.
Yeah.
The man knows his tactics too. Yeah. Okay. So I think we have to win the midfield battle. Like but I agree with him. Like when we have guys who are aggressive, who come onto us, who put pressure on our dudes, we shrink. We look soft sometimes, and I don't like that when it comes to, because our manager's not soft. If there's one thing I'll give Ollie, where I'm at this point where I believe Ollie may have gotten us to where we're at. I believe we're a top 4 team with Ollie, top 4 side. But the problem is with the league being kind of in flux, and a lot more competition. I mean, I picked you guys to not be as good as you've currently looked because I thought there's going to be a lot more of a gelling period. And there may be, but against the smaller teams you're playing, you guys look like peak Brazil, straight up. Like Chelsea looks like peak Brazil. And Everton, let's be honest, against the smaller teams, looks like whatever. They look great. They look great. So you have even a Southampton now who's not dropping games and all these players. So we're in a situation now with United that although I believe Ollie can keep it, like is good enough to keep us as a top 4 side, you can only do that if you're consistent and you're beating the teams you should beat.
Yep.
So we don't beat Everton tomorrow. We've now put ourselves, like we'll be at 7 points after what I think is 8 games now. That's not good enough. That's not good enough.
Yeah. That's
so like what's your opinion of Ollie? Like you've been watching, like what's your opinion of?
You know what? Ollie has done, I think with the players that he's done the best he can. I said it to you from the transfers that happened this summer. When Van de Beek got bought, I said it to you then, and I'll say it now. I still don't understand the reason for that buy, because Bruno is the 10. Bruno has asserted himself as the guy who's going to be the creative force in that midfield. He's kind of asserted that and taken on that responsibility and has been living up to it. Pogba's the other guy who also brings that extra added creativity. And I didn't think that creativity was the issue that you guys had, right?
Okay.
That was one thing that was one area where I felt like, man, Ollie, you could have done you could have went for a different type of player. Maybe somebody who's not as flashy, but
let me quickly let me address that because I believe, like we saw it last year, we saw the 11 game run where we didn't change, or whatever it was, where we didn't change our squad. There was no trust in any other players. We got tired in the cup competitions. It was very clear. We kept saying if Bruno or Pogba goes down or isn't playing, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
So we went out and got a Van de Beek. I believe Van de Beek's greatest strength isn't, I don't think he's like a master creator or anything. He's the type of dude who he keeps the ball moving. His movement is fantastic. He has those one touch turn. He's gone. You got to find him as he breaks into the box. It's a very different player than Bruno, but he needs to play in the 10 role, I think, to be effective. Or sometimes an 8, he can never be in a pivot because you can't have him being your DM,
especially not in the Premier League.
So I believe we bought him. Two reasons. I'm being completely straight up on this one. If Pogba doesn't stick around, he's a perfect replacement for Pogba and can play well, and will play well with Bruno because of the movement and the 1-2s. So maybe for once, United didn't wait to lose a player and then scramble to find the replacement. Get him in early so he's there. Because if we don't make Champions League next year, who are we attracting? Like, for real, like we might still get Sancho because Sancho is 22 and wants to come, but we probably won't. So the truth is, who are we attracting if we're not bringing them in? I believe the player that Ollie wanted was Jack Grealish, the player that we all heard about from the start. Remember, we talked about this for a minute. It was James Maddison at the start of the season.
Nice.
And it was Bruno Fernandes. Those are the 2 players we were talked about at the 10. They were locked in. We were supposed to get Bruno at the start. We were looking at Maddison. Neither of them happened, right? Then we go and get Bruno. You no longer need a James Maddison because there's similar players and Bruno's significantly better.
I think Bruno's better.
But Jack Grealish is that different player that we should have got, in my opinion, because he can play on the wing. He can play as a 10. He can play as a 6. He can play as an 8. He can play literally all around the pitch, but he should be further up. I agree with you. I know where.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Grealish. The Grealish buy. I wouldn't have. I think I would have been in a similar. I would have had similar thoughts that I do about Van de Beek, just because I feel like Grealish is best. He can play anywhere, but I think his best position
is 10.
Not for me. I think his best position is actually where Rashford's playing on the left. I feel like Grealish does his most damage when he's one-on-one with a defender up top, and he has players he can play in he can look in kind of a V, see somebody on his right. He can go back to his defender. That's where I think he plays the best, right? Okay. If you look at a lot of the goals he scores, they're typically from the left side. A lot of the assists he gets typically from the left side. That's just what I think.
If we break it down, though, if you think about what just happened, we lost Martial. We had to move Rashford up top, and we played Dan James on the left a bunch of times.
Yeah.
If you have a Grealish, He plays on the wing. That's what I'm trying to say, though. That's why I think he was the number one, like, outside of Sancho target, because he can play in that other role that you need him in, like if something happens. And I don't think we have that player right now that can spell Rashford on the left unless it's Martial. Like Martial obviously is great on the left, but then you're right. It's like I don't disagree with the buy. I think we needed the buy. I think we need depth. We can't be the only team in the league that's not allowed depth. Like you guys went out and bought Havertz, even though you have 6 midfielders. Like let's be honest. You went out and bought. It's like if you look at what Everton did, they went out and bought Allen, Decore, very similar players. Sigurdsson and Hamas, very similar players. Like that, you need players to have depth. So that buy was weird because we had the creativity in that sense and we didn't see it coming, but it made sense in my opinion. I think we needed that buy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where I think we suffer, and everyone's like, well, you shouldn't need Sancho to be good. It's like, but the way all he wants to play is he needs wingers.
Yeah, he needs wingers.
He is not good enough as a attacking right-sided player to support that side of the attack. So teams clog up the left side. They know if they shut down the left side of our attack,
that's where everything happens. And Green, like I feel bad for Ollie because tactically I don't think he's been as terrible as some of the results have been over the last few months. But I think what's really letting Ollie down, I think up top Martial's been fine. I think Rashford, Greenwood, I think that front three when they're clicking, I think has been fine. Depth has been an issue, of course, because you got to bring in like Dan James, all that. Totally get that. But up front, I think all in all, it's been okay. But Ollie has struggled to get the right midfield balance, and that's what's been letting him down the most. And that's my biggest gripe with the Van de Beek. It's not that you're right. Like, yes, there needs to be depth, but it was just such a clear gap all throughout the season. I was just shocked that there was nothing that came there. Like, it was like anybody watching the games, you could see like, okay, this team clearly needs something to kind of have this midfield click a little bit better, and that wasn't done. And that's what's letting him down. And he's feeling the effects of it now.
Because who we should have bought was probably Thomas Partey, if we're going to be honest. That to me is the player we probably should have bought. Or like obviously you guys are never going to sell him, but we need a player like Conte. Like that's like we need that the keeping of. So this is what kills me about the United board and what they do and how they move. It makes no sense to me. You re-sign Matic because he had a great run of form, but for an extra 2 years. Instead of giving him like a 1-year contract. If he wasn't willing to accept the 1-year contract, then let him go. Like, and then you have that money and you go and you sign a Thomas Partey because he has a release clause. Or you go find another CDM in the world that makes sense to sit there, because that is a problem. We don't have a sitter who can let our midfield, because for our midfield to truly flourish, like with a Pogba, if you have Pogba and Bruno, those guys don't sit still. They need to roam. They don't have assignments that they just stick in. But anyway, so I want to get to the score predictions.
Okay.
What do you foresee going down tomorrow? How do you see it going down?
I see the game is going to be, I think it's going to be tight. Definitely think it's going to be a tight, close game. But I do think that United is going to struggle a little bit at times to deal with the Everton midfield, especially when James comes from the wing and comes in the middle, and they get like an extra man in midfield for a few minutes. I think that's going to cause a problem. Siggy's movement, I think, is going to cause a problem, and overall, I think it's going to come out with it's either going to be like a 2-1 Everton win or a 2-2 draw. That's actually what I got done. That's what I'm predicting.
All right.
That's what I'm predicting. And I'm terrible at predictions, as you know. I'm terrible with my score predictions, but just from how Everton's been playing,
they had a bad game their last game though. They had a really Southampton ran rampant on them, man. Danny Ings looked like prime Ronaldo. I was watching the game and I was messing with my boys and shit, being like, yo, Danny Ings is bossing this game, not just
they just had too many guys out. They had too many guys out. Hammers was out. Luca
well,
was
playing,
out.
but he just didn't look good.
Charleston's out was out. It was just too many guys out. They just that was like that looked like the Everton from last year playing.
Yeah, Hammers didn't play. You're right. Hammers didn't play.
Hammers
You're right. I thought he played. Like,
No, he
he
was
didn't
out.
play. You're right. Okay, I'm gonna go with 1-0 United, and it's good. It's gonna be.
You think it's going to be?
It's gonna be Martial or Rashford. One of them catching one of their defenders off. Like probably Keane. Keane always has a little bit of an error in him. Or it's either going to be that, or it's going to be a Pickford mistake. Like
that is actually the biggest worry for Everton.
I hope Ollie sends the guys in and says, "Listen, just put the ball on target."
Like if Carlo, if I know Carlo's in a tough spot because it's not so easy to drop like your first string keeper. But Olsen, he brought in Olsen, and Olsen's going to push him. And I just don't know if I feel like this Manchester United game probably comes like 2 or 3 games too early. If it's like 3 games from now, I think Pickford could get dropped if he's playing the same way he has been over the course of the season. But that's where, Pickford's that's a big hole in Everton's team right now.
Pickford's got a mistake in him, and I think
But maybe two.
Exploit that. But I think, like Danny said, I actually think we have to come out and we have to attack, and we've got to press. The fact that 85th in Europe, that's a crazy stat. I did not know that. That depresses me, but I believe it. Like, we're not an aggressive team on the press, and I think tomorrow we have to be. Like, you can't. Hamas cannot enjoy himself out there. Like, there's got to be a directive of the thing is the one thing that I'm comfortable with though is I don't believe Hamas can run at either of our fullbacks, whether it's Luke Shaw, whether it's AWB, whatever. Like, I don't believe he can run. But we just can't allow him time on the ball.
That's the thing. Hamas, he has his legs won't. He's not a sprint type of player, but especially playing on because he'll be up against Luke. He'll be up against Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw's gonna have to tuck inside a lot. Luke Shaw's gonna have to tuck inside. Coleman's gonna be running up on the wing, giving up space there. I think that midfield battle, if that's not dealt with and like solidified early, that's where the problem is.
So, and that's the scary thing though, because Luke Shaw's got to be disciplined and push him out, not inside, because as soon as Hamas cuts inside, he's going to shoot.
Yeah, he's causing a number of problems.
He'll be able to, like, that's the one thing. Hamas can score from anywhere. As long as he gets any side of goal, that's a wrap. So Luke Shaw's going to have to be very disciplined tomorrow. And sometimes he's great. So last game he looked great. I like to go at Luke Shaw because, like, I'm in better shape than Luke Shaw. But I'm saying, like, if you look at the two of us, it's like Luke Shaw does not look like a man who plays football on a regular. So yeah, okay, I'm gonna go with 1-0, and with that, we'll end it up here. Nice. I gotta say, I appreciate you coming on, homie.
No worries, man. Anytime.
Especially if we get the next Chelsea one. Hey, the next Chelsea one, we might just do live. Might just do the two of us.
I'm about it. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Let's do it.
All right, homie. Thanks again, everybody who's either watched or is gonna watch this back. Again, smash the like button, subscribe, because again, we're a new channel. Check us out, Trafford Talk, and that's it. I'm out.
All right.